All right. I'm looking to see if I can go live on IG, and it's still not letting me go live on IG. Yes, indeed, y'all. That's all right. Like I told y'all, I'm gonna keep it moving, keep it moving. So, for those of you who are on now, make sure that you share. Okay, I'm coming live on the ABC Read page as well as my YouTube channel, Reading is Freedom. All right, so that's where I'm at now. Okay, so YouTube and Reading is Freedom. All right, everybody. My name is Miss Seisha. I hope that you are doing great, fantastic, spectacular, all of those great, wonderful adjectives that I love to put out there. Put that good energy, that good vibes only, okay? Woo, sister is hot. Yes. Ooh, y'all, Lordy. The 90s been 90ing. Oh my gosh. Yes, I wonder what the weather is like for you wherever you are across the globe. Again, make sure you share. My name is Miss Seisha, and this is Read Aloud Sunday, y'all. I'm super excited. Brought to you by ABC Read as well as Reading is Freedom. And where's my logo? That's funny. All right, usually have the logo on the screen, not there, but again, this has been some trip stuff. Once again. But nevertheless, we keep pushing through, keep moving, all right? Make sure you grab your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews. Have your folks come on in. So that they can get ready to listen to the read aloud, all right? So they can enjoy this time. You guys can enjoy this time with your family, with your friends. Again, make sure that you share, all right? We want the algorithm to pick it up, okay? We want the algorithm to do its thing, okay? So that people see like, okay, this is what the people are into. They want to have reading be something that's normalized within their communities, okay? So make sure that you share, all right? With that being said, let's get on into it. Yes, y'all. This is the book. One of my faves. I've read this book plenty of times. I even have it on my YouTube channel, Reading is Freedom. Make sure you subscribe. What's going on, my YouTube people? Thank you for joining me. All right. Ruth and the Green Book, written by Calvin Alexander Ramsey with Gwen Strauss. Illustrations by Floyd Cooper, y'all. Yes, the late Floyd Cooper, by the way. Okay, the late Floyd Cooper. And he left a legacy, all right? Well, let's get ready to get on into Ruth and the Green Book, okay? All right? And make sure that you research what the Green Book is with your children, all right? Make sure that you research that, okay? This is something they should know about. This is a part of our history. Let's dive right on in. It was a big day at our house when Daddy drove up in our very own automobile, a 1952 Buick. It is the most beautiful color. Daddy calls it sea mist green. He bought it for his new job. But first, we planned to go on a trip to visit Grandma in Alabama. I was so excited to travel across the country. I packed my own bag, and Mama said I could take Brown Bear with me for company, even though I'm almost too old for him. As we drove out of Chicago, it felt funny to see the neighborhood disappear, and then the streets, and then the buildings. I love all the green grass and hills and trees. Daddy told lots of stories about when he was a boy in Alabama. He made us laugh. Eventually, we stopped and had a picnic lunch that Mama had packed. She had been cooking all week to get ready for the trip. After driving for a long time, we stopped at a service station to fill up on gas. As Daddy was paying the station attendant, Mama asked for the key to the restroom. The man said we couldn't use the restrooms because they were for whites only. Mama and I had to go into the woods. I was embarrassed, but Mama said the people who should be ashamed of themselves were those service station owners. I was tired when Daddy stopped the automobile. I asked Mama where we were, and she said we were going to spend the night in a real hotel. We watched Daddy talking to the man behind the desk. Daddy was smiling and pointing to us, but the man shook his head and turned his back. Daddy came back out and slammed the car door. He never slammed the door before, so I knew he was mad. I wondered what happened, but I knew somehow it wasn't a good time to ask him. Mama gave me a look that said, Ruth, just keep quiet. So that's what I did. We kept on driving through the night. Mama took a turn so Daddy could sleep. I fell asleep with Brown Bear as my pillow. We must have pulled off the road in the middle of the night because when I woke in the morning, we were all curled up in the car. I was stiff and hungry. Mama gave us cold biscuits and jam for breakfast. She said we should sing to cheer ourselves up. We sang a lot that day as we crossed the country. We had picnics at roadside stops for lunch and dinner because all the restaurants had signs in the windows that said we couldn't eat there. It seemed like there were white only signs everywhere outside of our Chicago neighborhood. I felt homesick and I hugged Brown Bear close all day. When we crossed into Tennessee, Daddy said his friend Eddie lived close by. He was sure we could sleep there. Eddie was so happy to see us. He gave me a big hug and told me that he knew me when I was real little. His wife Alice cooked us a warm meal, and I ate too much. Daddy and Eddie used to play music in a band before they went off and fought in the war. They talked about how they traveled a lot back then and how they always had a hard time finding places to rest and eat. Daddy shook his head and said he had hoped that the war had changed things, but now he could see he was wrong. That night, I went to sleep to the sound of Daddy and Eddie playing music together. Brown Bear and I were happy to sleep in a real bed with a real pillow. The next day, as we loaded the car, I heard Eddie talking quietly to Mama and Daddy. Eddie warned them about what was ahead. Someone called Jim Crow. I heard Eddie tell them that however bad it was so far, it was only going to get worse for us, maybe even dangerous as we went farther south. Then Eddie saw me listening and he picked me up and told me not to worry. He said that I should look out for Esso service stations along the road because the people there would be nice to us. In the car, I asked Daddy who Jim Crow was, and he explained that Jim Crow wasn't a hoot. It was a bunch of ugly laws forbidding blacks and whites from mixing in any way. I asked, why don't they want our business? Wasn't our money just the same? It hurt my feelings to be so unwelcome. But Mama sighed and reminded me that my job that day was to look for an Esso station. I spotted an Esso station near the Georgia border and sang out for Daddy to stop. Daddy filled the car up and asked the man if he knew where we could sleep for the night. The man showed us a pamphlet called The Negro Motorist Green Book. He explained this book was started by a postman, Mr. Victor H. Green, to help Black people who were traveling. It lists places in lots of states where we would be welcome to sleep, eat, shop, get a haircut, and all kinds of other information besides. Right away, Daddy bought our very first own copy for 75 cents. Mama read about a place nearby called a tourist home where we could stay for the last night of our trip. Daddy called ahead, and sure enough, the lady told us to come right away. Then Mama gave me the green book and said I was in charge of keeping it. I couldn't stop reading it. All those places in all those states where we could go and not worry about being turned away. We reached the tourist home in the early evening. Mrs. Melody, the owner, gave us a big smile when she opened the door. It was like coming home. And she wouldn't even let Daddy pay her. She said she welcomed Negro travelers because it was right to help each other out. I'm going to do the same one day. The next morning, I hated to say goodbye to Mrs. Melody, but Daddy said we could be at Grandma's house that evening. Dad made me happy to get going again. It wasn't easy, though. Our automobile broke down about midday in the middle of nowhere. People drove right past. I felt empty in the pit of my stomach. I hugged Brown Bear and wished we were already at Grandma's house. But Mama said not to worry, we could figure this out. She unfolded our map and told me the names of nearby towns. She said, Ruth, look in the green book and see if you can find a place in one of these towns that will fix our car. And I did. Daddy gave me a big hug, and then he walked into town to find a garage that would help us. By the time we got the car fixed, it was too late to reach Grandma's house that day. So I looked in the green book and picked out an inn nearby that said they welcomed Negro travelers. It was a big house with lots of rooms. Most of the people there were businessmen traveling for their jobs. They each carried a green book. They said they could never do their jobs without it. We met a salesman named Jason who has traveled to all the states of the Union for his job. He told such funny stories. Mama laughed so hard she had tears rolling down her face. For the first time since we left home, we were really happy. At the end, I met a little boy who was traveling with his mother. It was the first time he had ever left home, and I could just tell he was scared. I thought of Mrs. Melody, Victor Green, Eddie, and all the other people who had helped us. And then I decided to give Brown Bear to the boy. I told him that Brown Bear was a good traveler. I'm too old for Brown Bear now, and the little boy needed him more than I do. Then I told his mother about the green book and showed her our copy. That night before I went to sleep, I thought about our trip. It was not what I had expected. Traveling could be scary, that's for sure. It made me sad that some people were mean to Negroes. But it helped to know that good Black people all over the country had pitched in to help each other. It felt like I was part of one big family. Plus, tomorrow, I will finally see Grandma and tell her what a great green book guide I had been. The end. Oh, I love this. I love this right here. Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. It has such that cool, that 50s look, right? So awesome. I absolutely love this story. And then in the back, what I love too, the history of the Negro Motorist Green Book. And I thought about too, even with the word Negro, right? This is a way for you guys to have a conversation with your young ones who are listening to this story and they hear the word Negro being used to describe Black people. And that's a great way for you to talk about at one time that Black people were referred to as Negroes, okay, which we know the word Negro, well, we'll say a lot of people do know Negro is a Spanish word for Black, right? And then I know that, you know, people who you can do it even a deeper dive in terms of where that comes from and all of that, right? You know, because you can go down a rabbit hole in explaining that. But of course, that word Negro, when it was assigned to Black people, it was not done in a way to where it was a positive word to describe people, right? So this is once again, you know, just another way to try to demean or diminish Black folks. But that again is this is a great conversation starter about language and about, you know, what do we call people, because you have some people who they don't like to use the term African American. I've heard people say that, you know, they prefer Black. So, you know, you just have conversations about these types of things, and even about, again, talking about Jim Crow, talking about segregation and racism, all of these things. This is a great way to talk about serious issues like this. That's why I highly recommend that you are reading aloud to your children, reading all types of genres of books, so that they can have information, knowledge about different various topics. Okay. So now let's dive on into the Kahoot game. All right. To me, this is one of the highlights. And so let me go ahead and get ready to share that now with you all. Right. And let's see. Um, let's see. We, let me see, is it here? All right. All right. Here we go. Let me go to home. All right. Here's the game right here. Host live. All right. So I'm getting ready to pull it up, everybody. Let's get ready to dive on in. I'm about to get ready to start the game. All right. Let me click start. And so the game pin is being shared right now. So let me share the screen. Oh, here it is right here. Right. All right. Can everybody see that? You all should be able to see the game pin. And I'm waiting for participants to come on in now. Waiting for participants. All right, waiting for the participants to come on in. So hopefully you guys are coming on in. I usually like to give like a few minutes before I get started. Come on, you guys, come on in. So you all should be able to see. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the game. I got some cool questions to go with the story. Once again, like I said, Ruth and the Green Book. Ruth and the Green Book. All right, so we got one participant in there. Very good. Got one in. Just waiting for a couple of more participants to come on in. It's fun. It's more fun when you have other people to play with, right? Not just one person, not just yourself. So, and I'll give it about another minute. If not, then it's just going to be that one person, and that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. All right. So let me go ahead and get ready to get started. All right, here we go. All right. Let me click start. All right, here we go. Ruth and the Green Book. Let's see if you were paying attention. All right, you should see it on your phone or wherever you're playing at. Where and who was Ruth and her family going to visit? No, not Arkansas, great grandma. No, the answer was Alabama. And they were going to visit her grandma. All right. Not on the scoreboard yet, Yusuf. What city did Ruth's family live in? And how do we know that? Because she said when they were where they were leaving, right? So not Chattanooga, Chicago. Remember in the book, she said we were leaving our city of Chicago, right? So that told you right there, that's where they lived, right? And then they mentioned it, and then she even said it later on in the book, how the place was different from Chicago. Why couldn't Ruth and her mama use the bathroom at the gas station? So make sure you're reading the answers. Why couldn't they use it there? Why couldn't they use it at the gas station? No, it was the blue, right? Because it was for white people only. Remember, this book is talking about racism, right? Let's see. All right, let's go to the next one. Oh, wait, hold up. Oh, I gotta click next again. Here we go. All right. What can we infer as to why Ruth's daddy was mad when he came back to the car after talking to the man in the hotel? Okay, what can we infer? Remember, what do you think? What was the reason why he was mad? Based off of what was going on. They couldn't use the bathroom because it was whites only. Now they trying to go stay in a hotel, and the man wasn't paying. Was turned his back, right? Exact. Exactly. They weren't allowed to stay there because they were black. That's right. Yep. Good job. Good job. All right. What signs did Ruth say they saw all throughout the South while they were traveling? All right. Dogs only, white only, black only, Asians only. Think about exactly. Very good. Very good. White only. Because that's what this story, remember, they were talking about showcasing the ugliness of racism, right? Poor Ruth was getting a dose of that at her young age. Where was Ruth's family finally able to stay for the first time since they left Chicago? So, where were they able to stay at? Was it her father's brother's house, her mother's friend's house, her cousin's house, or her father's friend's house? Nope, it was her father's friend's house. That was the answer. Okay. I see somebody gotta read the book again. What were those ugly laws called that kept black and whites separated? What were they called? Johnny Crow, Jim Crow, Jason Crow, Jenny Crow. You should know. Yes, that's right. Jim Crow, right? The ugliness of Jim Crow. They actually would call them Jim Crow and Jane Crow because the laws were not just coming from white men, but from white women too, right? All right, next question. What job did Ruth have that was going to be very helpful to her family? What was she told to do? I think some of these y'all know to look for Sesame Street. Come on. Ooh. Sesame Street wasn't even out yet. Come on. Come on. To look for an Esso station. Okay. Sesame Street wasn't even out yet. See, I see some folks, they gotta listen to the story again. What did Ruth's daddy buy that was very helpful for black people when they were traveling? Hence the title of the book, right? The title of the book is right there on the screen. So that's your clue. If you get this wrong, that means you ain't, oh, really? Remember the Green Book. Okay? The Green Book. Oh, wow. This is something else. Come on, come on. What information was in this book that was very helpful for black people? What did the Green Book, how did it help black people? That's right. It lists places where they could eat, sleep, and shop. That's right. Okay, it was like a guide. Very good. Very good. Okay. Why was Ruth so happy about reading the Green Book? Why was she so happy? Was it that she just loved to read? She loved being in charge of the book. She was happy to find places that made black people feel welcome. She thought this made her be an adult, which made sense. That's right. Thank you. She was very happy to find places that made black people feel welcome. Remember, she wasn't feeling welcome pretty much the whole time she left. Couldn't go to the bathroom, couldn't stay in a hotel. They couldn't even go to restaurants. The restaurant said white only, right? What is another word to describe the emptiness that Ruth felt in her stomach? Very good. Exactly. Sad, right? Okay. So a person, and then that's the colorful ways in writing, right? A person don't always have to use the same words over and over. You can say you're feel empty inside, right? That's another way to describe it. Very good. Yusuf, now you got them, the 3 streaks. We down to the last few questions. Last few. Why did Ruth's mama have tears rolling down her face? Was it because she was sad? She was laughing so hard? She was nervous? Because she was laughing so hard. That's what she was saying when they were at one of the places they were staying at, when they were traveling. That was one of the first times that her family was able to enjoy themselves. All of the stress they've been under because they were denied basic human rights, right? What made Ruth decide to give her brown bear to the little boy she met at the inn? No. She wanted to help him be comfortable like the people helped her family, okay? She noticed that he was a little scared and she was starting to outgrow her bear. She realized that he needed it just like how she needed it. But she saw that he needed it more than her. So she gave it to him. All right. That's what that sacrifice is about. And then the last question, what was the messages that the author was sending in this story? Okay. What were the messages? That racism is pretty. Racism is ugly and Black people should support each other. Very good. That's right. That was the message right there in the book. All right. Ruth in the Green Book. Let's see who won. Woo! All right, Yusuf. Of course, you didn't have anybody else in there. I apologize for those who were trying to get in, but you didn't have a code to get in because you came in after we started the game. And I'm not for sure how to share it or pull up the code while I'm playing. I have to figure that out for next time, just in case other people want to come in after the game is being played. But yes, again, great way for you all to have an engaging, fun. Stop sharing. Again, a great way to have an engaging, exciting read aloud. All right. This is something that you can do with your family. I literally, you guys, I'm not going to say obviously because you all don't know, but I'm coming up with these questions. So I'm creating these Kahoot games. These are games that I've created on the Kahoot platform. I come up with the questions, I upload it, and then I'm able to share it with you all. This is something you could do. Just as simple, okay? And you don't even have to start off with getting with a paid account. You can start off with a free account, all right? And then you can play this with your family, with your friends. If you got a club meeting and you guys want to spice it up and get everybody engaged, people a lot of times still want to be on their phones. Well, this is a great way for them to be on their phone, but in a fun, educational, engaging way, okay? So with that being said, I thank you all again for listening to the Read Aloud. I thank you all for playing the game as well. And even if you couldn't play, that you got a chance to see how I have it set up. And so inshallah, God willing, for next week, you guys can participate because that's my intention to keep going. I'm doing this. I've been doing the Kahoot game with this for the past, I think, 5 weeks now. But I brought back the Read Alouds. It's been going on a year. Okay. So with that being said, thank you all for listening. And of course, I got to bring out, you already know. Bam, the book, Healed, Empowered, Resilient, Her. All right. Where I am one of the authors. Okay. Myself and spectacular 9 other women have joined forces in writing this book where we're sharing our different tribulations, our different struggles, different things that we have been faced with, have been challenged with throughout the years of our lives. And we said we wanted to put this in a book so that we can share with people that whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you've been through, you do not have to stay stuck. We are not victims. And that's what we are intentionally wanting to drive home that message. We are not victims. Yes, we've been victimized. Yes, there are things that have occurred that was not a fault of our own. However, it gets to a point where you have to say, you know what, I have to have accountability. I have to take responsibility for my actions. And so that's why we put this in this book here, Healed, Empowered, Resilient. My chapter 5, is Escaping the Fear Trap House, because that has been a struggle for me throughout my life. And I dive deep into where that came from. Okay. And just to give you a little sneak peek of that, understanding that the ways in which we raise our children, when we raise our children in a healthy way where they feel validated, they feel special, they feel loved, they don't feel condemned when they make mistakes. We hold them accountable, but we always make them feel like they can come back. They can always redeem themselves. That's the healthy way of raising our children. But if the opposite is happening, where our child feels like that when they made a mistake, it's the end of the world. They got to feel like they're walking on eggshells. They got to get yelled at, dogged out, berated, condemned, beaten. That's unhealthy. That's toxic. Those are the things we got to get rid of. And so I talk about that in my chapter. And because all of that contributes to fear and trepidation, to where you're fearful. Now you are afraid to take calculated risks. You are afraid to speak your mind, to talk about the things that you need to talk about. You're afraid to make mistakes. That's why a lot of times people stay stuck. They call themselves perfectionists, but for real, they're not perfectionists. They're afraid. They're afraid to fall flat on their face and then pick themselves back up and say, yes, I'm human. I fell on my face. Yes, I did. I'm scuffed. I got some scratches. I got some bruises. But I'm getting right back up and I'm doing it all over again. And so that's what we're talking about here in this book. Go to Amazon, grab your copy, $24.99, and then you got the shipping and handling and taxes. You know how I do what it do when it do. So grab your book, you all. All right. You can help empower those young women, older women in your lives. And if you're a woman watching this, you need this book as well. Okay. So thank you all for listening. Woo. Yes, it's time for me to end. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, my newbies. Make sure you share this. Okay. I hope that this was a beneficial almost 40 minutes of your time. All right. And that's what I wanted it to be. Beneficial, entertaining, community-centered, empowering, all right, loving yourself type of energy on these read-alouds, okay? So I thank you all. My name is Miss Sasha. Make sure you donate to ABC Read, the number 1 at Cash App. Also, our Zelle as well, ABC Read Family. ABC Read Family at gmail.com is where you can donate to our Zelle as well. And let me give a shout out Let me give a shout out to one of our biggest donors, Olacia. She has been donating for well over a year, and we appreciate you tremendously. Okay. Thank you so much. I know she's not, big on shout outs and all that, but I do that because I just want to highlight how you got people in the community who respect what we're doing. They love what we're doing. They want us to keep going, and they put their money where their mouth is. All right. They don't just, say keep going. If they're able to give, I don't care if it's $5. If you're able to give $5 a month, that helps us tremendously. When we're buying books, I'm buying books like JD and the Great Barber Battle. That book costs $6. So if you give $5 to $6, you're buying a book for that second or third grader. If you give $10, you're buying books like Ruth and the Green Book, because I know how to go to places where I can get this book for like $10. Okay. That's what you're doing. So that little $5 or $10 that you may think that, oh, that's small or whatever. No, it's actually building our young people's home libraries. Okay. There are 61% of low-income homes that still do not have a book in their homes. That's an atrocity. And so we're helping to eradicate that. All right. So I thank you all for listening. Again, I'm Miss Sasha. Make sure you share the live. And remember, reading is freedom. Grab your shirt. Thank you, Brother Tayu Uhuru, for grabbing your shirt. Purchase his shirt as well. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Really, I do. Reading is freedom. Peace.